Today we are going to return to a simpler time. A time when you could just play Glimpse of Nature, and it was okay, because Orcish Bowmasters wasn't ruining your entire deck. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and today Frito has asked me to play with a traditional Glimpse of Nature Elves deck list. And we saw a pilot put up 2 tournament results with this. I don't remember if they were both wins or both top 8s, but there is some amount of elves coming back. And I really and truly do mean traditional Glimpse of Nature elves. This is a deck that disappeared off of the map because of the prevalence of Orcish Bowmasters. When so many different pieces of your engine were all susceptible to the King of Orcish Bowmasters, and also the Glimpse of Nature engine was susceptible to Bowmasters, it just pretty much obliterated this deck. And I'm actually re-recording this deck tech after I have finished the league. Don't worry, I won't spoil anything here, but I understand the nuance of this deck a lot better now that I've played a league with it. So for those of you just totally unfamiliar with how this is going to work, this deck has kind of a combo built in with Nettle Sentinel. Nettle Sentinel gets to untap itself whenever you cast a green spell. And if you combine that with things like Heritage Druid or Birchlore Rangers, you can end up playing a Glimpse, and as long as you keep hitting creatures, you can just go, 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 and potentially get a turn 2 or a turn 3 kill relatively easily. You are ultimately hoping to get to enough mana to hardcast Hoof, Green Sun for Hoof, or Natural Order for Hoof. For the pass the turn lines and for grindier decks that might be able to answer a creature with, say, Swords to Plowshares, you do have Atraxa as just a way to refuel afterwards. This deck used to be built in a way where you would just grind out games with Elvish Visionary, and you would just repeatedly bounce Elvish Visionary with Wirewood Symbiote, and that was a core part of your engine. But current Legacy is so fast that that's not really a good idea anymore. So many combo decks like Reanimator and Oops and Storm and Show and Tell or whatever can just win or effectively win the game very, very quickly. And there's so little control in Legacy that trying to grind out games that way doesn't make sense. And this is where Eladamri comes in. So, you can look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast creature spells from the top card of your library. So, when you are in the middle of your combo turn, this is actually very powerful. What happens is you cast a Glimpse, and let's say you cast this as your next card. You draw a card off of Glimpse. If that card is a creature, maybe you keep going. Well, what this does is it says if the top card of your library is a creature, you also get to keep going. And when you are able to manipulate the top card of your library with fetch lands and green suns for shuffles and once upon a time to change the top card of the library, it actually makes it so that you can see a surprising number of cards per turn. And this can not only help you recoup from a board wipe, but also just be the thing that accelerates you towards your combo. And you will see this card doing the thing in this league. No more spoilers beyond that. It does have one other ability. For a green, tapping it and 2 other untapped creatures you control, you can reveal a card from your hand or the top card of your library. If you reveal a creature card this way, put it onto the battlefield. You can only activate this during your turn. Notably, it does not say as a sorcery, it says during your turn. So you do have some situations that come up where your opponent, say, flashes in a Containment Priest, where you could potentially do this in response. If you look at this deck, you will see that this is constructed as a combo deck. There's not really game 1 interaction here. And if you take a look at the sideboard, something a lot of times you saw out of Elves with a Black Splash was a pile of Thoughtseizes out of the sideboard. This is not doing that. And one thing that I found during the league is unless you are taking out some package from your deck, like unless you want to cut, say, 3 Natural Order and an Atraxa, or you want to cut 3 Once Upon a Time or something like that, It's a little hard to pull pieces out of the deck and keep the engine in check and as fast as possible. This is not one of those leagues where I'm just going to be pulling this card left and right. This card was an important piece of the core, and with Elvish Visionary gone, that ended up being very clear to me. With that, I think we're going to go ahead and jump into the league here. Folks, if you end up needing any cards, please consider checking out my sponsor, TOAMagic.com, to support me. Promo code ThrabenU saves you 5% on any of your online orders. And if you are going to some major event, like say MagicCon Atlanta that is coming up, you can order in advance and pick it up on site, and that is super, super convenient. And remember, if you just get it sent to you directly, that is always going to be free shipping, although you can expedite it to get it even faster if you need to. So, let's battle. This is a really, really cool league. There's going to be a lot of interesting and intricate things going on. All right, I have to do elves math again. It's been a hot minute. So I don't actually have two elves in this opening hand. These play very well with elves, but aren't elves themselves. So I don't get the mana boost from this. I don't have the mana to glimpse and get some redraws here. Hey, on the play, I'm on the play. I'm gonna mulligan this one. There is potential here, and I think the potential is for a reasonably quick natural order. I think I'm gonna keep this one. I think I'm gonna get rid of both Seiju, and sometimes this is Dryad Arbor. I think I am interested in Allosaurus Shepherd. Oh, hey, there's a little buddy. Yeah, I think that's my plan. Let's just remove counter spells as something that matters. So turn 2, I go land drop, fetch Dryad Arbor, and turn 3, I have uncounterable natural order, sacrificing Dryad Arbor. That is assuming everything goes well, but that's the plan. How dare you? How dare you disrupt my plan? Oh? Well, that wasn't what I was expecting there. Send it. Now, there's plenty of timelines where Bowmasters or Fatal Push plus days get involved, and it's not the best for me. But I'm gonna try to do my thing. There is the first Dryad Arbor. Well, show me that you can beat this. Natural order. That is a Brainstorm. There's the fetch. Fatal Push plus Counterspell is still online. There's Fatal Push. There's the Counterspell. So we presented our turn to kill, and my opponent interacted with it 3 times. So now I am very likely in a bad position, and I think it's absolutely a spot where I have now lost the game. I think the game is decided, and it just takes time for that to actually be true. I think I am just going to make a land drop and pass, and I will cast Once Upon a Time at my opponent's end step. My Gaia's Cradle no longer produces mana in the short term. Cameo gets to investigate. Oh, this is happening. So my opponent now has Atraxa. I can Once Upon a Time. In response, I have a pile of relatively bad cards. The Dryad Arbor doesn't really do anything special here. Yeah. So I'm not literally dead to that, but I am probably effectively dead to that. Yeah, there's Force of Will plus blue card backing up Atraxa. Oh, opponent's doing that differently. They're going Animate Dead, Entomb, Sewers, Ponder. And I just draw another land. Okay. We'll call that fine. So we are going to probably play 4 copies of Endurance here, and I will probably do Keen-Eyed Curator as a silver bullet. I will probably turn these into Endurances as a starting point. And then I need at least 2 more cuts. There's other things that I can think about, like Abrupt Decays and Chokes and stuff. Flipped Tameo is kind of annoying. Hopefully I just end up dealing with that via a natural order at some point. I often end up cutting natural order versus blue decks when playing elves, as the downside of it being countered is very high, and I just try to play a mid-range game instead. But my opponent has such a hard eject button on the game that I might need to just match that energy. I'm going to turn Visionary into Curator, and then I will trim 1 Glimpse. I think my attitude towards Bowmasters is hope they don't have it. Okay, I could use some extra mana here. I'm going to hope that I draw that. But I have Nettle Sentinel and Birch Lore and Heritage Druid, who all hopefully do good things here. And I only need to get to 4 mana to Natural Order. Opponent is now thinking after dropping Underground Sea, so they've got multiple different things they could cast. Now I hate that. It's obviously very, very good against what I want to be doing. But now it doesn't super make sense to vomit 1-drops into play. I will send in for 2, putting my opponent to 18. Going to go ahead and untap my little bestie here, grab a Dryad Arbor, and then pass the turn. Going to try to not give my opponent more than 1 card to their Engineered Explosives here, which may or may not actually be possible. I lose a creature, and now I'm in a weird spot with all of these 1-drops that I really need to get to my mana to cast an Endurance. Yeah, 16. I think I need to play another one. I don't want to. If I don't play another one, my opponent can just literally pass the turn with no worries, right? Because I'm not even attacking for 2 points of damage due to how Nettle Sentinel works. Opponent not even going for a Surveil land at end of turn. Could mean that they have a Brainstorm. There's another fetch land, and a Thoughtseize. I have lost 1 copy of Endurance. Oh shit. Do I do this first? I don't think I do this first, but I absolutely could. I will float my mana there, and Glimpse. Now, I'll Shepherd. The hope here is to eventually draw a Gaia's Cradle. I have second Glimpse, so I can go green mana here. Yeah, and yeah. Cast Heritage Druid. Do the old untaps. Now I'm considering being cheeky. I think I'm going to be cheeky. I'm going to go bam, and bam. Cast... Oh, no. Cast second Glimpse of Nature, untap Little Buddy, then pitch cast Endurance, junking Natural Order. My goal is to keep going here. I absolutely do not do. So I will clear my opponent's graveyard a bit, and I did not hit any lands in all of that. I will attack in for 1. My opponent is going to eat 4 of my cards with EE. My goal there was to hit a Gaia's Cradle and get something else threatening into play. That didn't work out. I maybe could have been less ambitious with this turn and just tried to stick a Heritage Druid, tap for 3 mana immediately, and just play an Endurance. But so much for fucking land drops. I will floop down a Quarian Ranger, which is kind of like ramp. You look at it sideways. Alright, it's happening. So there's Archon of Cruelty. I'm going to lose if that gets into play. I cleared out the graveyard for the purposes of a Murktide Regent. The graveyard refueled very, very quickly. And now my opponent also just has their I win button in the graveyard. If I get mana, this is not a problem. But I sure am not getting mana. That was a decline to shuffle. Okay. I feel targeted. I need 1 more mana here. I'm going to put it into play. Counterspells are still live here. Attack for 1. We have not quite pressured opponent's life total enough that Reanimate is not on the table. Alright, there's Fatal Push on my Graveyard Hate. Opponent can now EE this out of play. Yep. Sucks for me. Natural Order not doing great here. What of these is best? I can't play any of them this turn. I mean, other than Gaia's Cradle, but that is maybe not good. I think I go Shepherd. It seems like my opponent does not currently have access to a reanimation effect, so I am hoping to dodge that for a turn or 2. Land is good. Alright, cool. Alright, very nice. So there's the Shepherd. I honestly might be just getting Dryad Arbor and attacking my opponent for 2 to shut off Reanimate. Hardcast Force of Will now on the table, but it sure does less versus active Allosaurus Shepherd. Fetch. Dryad Arbor. Very awkward. I got Dryad Arbor because I need this. Bowmaster is a disaster. I guess that already was true. Alright, I'm attacking for 2. No flash creature, please. Alright, very nice. 7. Pass turn. I am nowhere near the 6 mana activation on this to just close out the game. Surveilling. Marsh Flats to graveyard. Dodging bullets. Play Quarian Ranger. Dryad Arbor for mana. 1 mana floating. Bounce this to hand. Untap Dryad Arbor. 2 mana, 3 mana, replay, 4 mana. Seems good. Choose target creature. Return a forest. 2, 3, 4 mana. Natural order. Honestly, probably sacrificing you. I don't know. You let me reuse this land. Yeah, you let me reuse this land later. Back this. That is petty theft. And then natural order resolves? Strange. Am I going for the haste creature that just kills my opponent now, or the Atraxa? There are removal spells that kill Hoof. Hoof could be bounced. Let's go for the more conservative Atraxa here. I will take Endurance. I will take a Windswept Heath. I will take a Sorcery and an Instant. I am done. I have made a land drop. I will pass the turn, but I have Endurance for my opponent's graveyard. Opponent down to 5. Brazen Borrower to play. That is fine. There is some question of, do I Endurance right now to better play around Murktide Regent? I think no, because if it makes it back to my turn, I can, in theory, do this uncounterably. Sure. I can return a forest, not any land. Petty Theft on Atraxa. Yeah, so I think if I go for Hoof, I just end up with a Hoof in my hand and I don't get all of these other cards. Yes. I will take all of that damage. What am I doing here? This is just mostly a setup turn for the future. So play this. Now my stuff is uncounterable. I think I'm going to attempt to clear the graveyard right now. Let's Endurance, pitching 1 copy of Green Sun. The stuff that my opponent can get out of my graveyard is significantly less scary. Send in. Opponent is at 4. Have I used both Dryad Arbors? Dryad Arbor, Dryad Arbor. I have used both Dryad Arbors, so this is not actually live. Okay. I sure hope that after all of this, I don't just die to 6 power in the air. Opponent has another land drop. I have a 2-turn clock. They have a 3-turn clock. They get the first attack, though. I am at 9. I am at 8. Probably Bayou. And in for 2. Yeah. Opponent is at 2. I'll make my land drop this way. I'll untap this creature. I'll bounce this forest. I will go up to 3 mana. Keen-Eyed Curator is another body that I could pick up. These things just can't block. I don't think I get to produce more than 1 body here. I think I'm going to do the thing that maybe saves me some life. This still can't be countered. I'm just going to go ahead and produce the extra body here. Ooh, 2 extra bodies. Very nice. Pass turn. Opponent is at 1. Any one of these 4 bodies kills them. They had no fetchables there. We still almost lost that one. That was a stressful game. At the tail end of that game there, I did kind of, in theory, want something like Elvish Visionary. I think that's a little slow. What am I doing against at least 2 Engineered Explosives, though? I don't know that I want more Abrupt Decay style cards to take those out. I think a lot of times it's not going to be as telegraphed as it was this game. I could Disruptor Flute it. That's just something that doesn't contribute to Cradle or Natural Order or Glimpse, though. I think we'll try to play around it if it happens. This is not exciting. I don't have any Graveyard Hate. I don't have anything innately broken that I'm doing, but I have access to a Cradle and a Hoof, in theory. I think I'm going to keep a Mediocre here and hope that my first 2 draws improve it. That is a Tamiyo, which notably is a 0/3 body, which is pretty annoying. I think I am going to opt not to be immediately wastelandable and throw this into play anyway. I am very, very, very much hoping that my opponent does not have any EE. I guess I could have boarded Collector Oof in. It feels very weird to do, but maybe it's not complete crazy person talk. Sure. Hate that. So now I am probably just going to drown in that Tamiyo Plus. I hope that I am wrong. Send in. We'll just always yield to that. I will go, I think, land drop, Quarian Ranger, play out 1 of my 2 copies of Wirewood. I'll still have enough to Natural Order if I draw one. Underground Sea. That's Entomb. Archon in graveyard. Wasteland's not actually all that bad. But that is... So, I'm going to sacrifice this. I am, I guess, discarding this card that I can never realistically cast, that now my opponent gets an animate dead target for. Ah, yeah, we can just do that immediately, huh? Yeah, we can stop there. Best deck in the format is best deck in the format. GG. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. If you want to see upcoming sets, if you want to understand commander brackets, or if you just want an awesome place to store all, and I mean all, of your deck lists, Moxfield is the place. You can organize all of your decks by folders, and you can even change the views. You like visual, they've got that. You like text, they've got that. Check out my Moxfield Pro Field if you want to see all, and I mean all, of the decks that I've been cooking up. Okay, so turn 1, Boseiju, and maybe Shepherd. Turn 2, Wirewood Symbiote, 2 mana, Cradle, Elvish Visionary. This seems fine on the surface. Scalding Tarn. We at least have a different matchup here. And opponent gets some immediate surveil value. And cracks. Redraw is no big deal. Atraxa is not a good draw. My hand can fall apart just so very easily here. I need this to stay alive so that my Gaia's Cradle is on immediately, or I really lose out on a lot of oomph. That similarly is not great. I have to take this damage here. I will take 1. So now I have a slow turn here. I think I'm going to go with Wirewood immediately and pass turn. I don't get to trade bodies here, I don't think. Again, I need this Gaia's Cradle mana. No Delver flip, that's great. Ooh, we are Jeskai. Alright, so that has to be on the Wirewood, otherwise I can bounce the Allosaurus Shepherd. I am taking 4 damage though. This is a little scary. I'm going to go 1 mana Wirewood, Legend Rule, 2 mana Elvish Visionary, draw a card. Once Upon a Time is not doing me a lot of good right now, and I think I will just keep this amount of mana in play. I think I would probably trade Elvish Visionary for Delver, given the opportunity to here. Fuck! Yeah! An opponent recognizing that does not attack. I am at 12. I have no mana to speak of. I'm very close to more mana than I could possibly need, but I am not there. I think if I win this game, I win it in overwhelming fashion. Not gonna try some chip attacks here that might not go well for me. This Delver is cooperating with me, luckily. I'm still at 9. Yikes. That is not a land, so I'm holding. Delver still does not flip. I don't think that matters, honestly. I'm down to 6. I am probably dead next turn to a Lightning Bolt. Fuck! Delver triggers yet again. Am I dead? Not dead. Another land drop. Ori Steelcutter. Opponent is equipping to the Delver. So they're going to go in for 5 points of damage so that I can't fetch. So be it. I'm at 1. I'm prepared to draw my land. Yep. Good play from the opponent. Even if I hit the land drop there, like, I can get 2 Heritage Druid mana and play a couple of Nettle Sentinels, but I'm still really dependent on what happens off of that Once Upon a Time. And I don't have Endurance in game 1. Alright, I am probably going to become a fair deck here and eject Natural Order and Atraxa from the deck. I'll probably still keep the Hoof, and I think I am thinking about those cards, but probably not playing them. I'm gonna junk my Once Upon a Times. I think I'm going to turn you into you. Do I want to trim some things around the edges for the choke? I might on the play and might not on the draw. Like trim the Visionary. This exact deck's plan is not necessarily Wirewood plus Visionary loops. I'm not convinced that this actually does anything. I think this plays an Allosaurus Shepherd, it gets bolted, and then my hand has a 2/2 that cantrips. I think I'm going to keep it in the hopes that I'm wrong. I will still lead on this. This potentially keeps me from taking 3 damage next turn. Yeah, that's fine. I think now I am just going to make a land drop and pass the turn with the intention of playing Glimpse and drawing 2 cards next turn. I think into double removal spell here, I do not fetch Dryad Arbor. But I think I'm okay thinning a land from the deck. Okay. I wasn't getting Dryad Arbor anyway, but thanks. Okay, it's not the worst. So here is a Glimpse of Nature. How do we feel about that? Alright. Nettle Sentinel. Draw a card. It is another Glimpse. Hello, Moto? There we go. We'll fetch another Bayou here. I will play a Wirewood. Grist is fine. So that was not a combo Glimpse, that was just a draw 2. That is fine. And a Delver. Sure. No attack from my opponent, which probably means that I can attack in for free with Nettle Sentinel. So I think I will attempt to do so. Send it. Opponent takes that. I think I'm going to go for this. Do this, untap Nettle Sentinel, and cast creature cards from the top of my library, but I still have to pay their mana cost, and I don't have any mana, so that is just chilling there. So my dream is play Birchlore Rangers and just oops accidentally a Crater Hoof into play with this ability. Wait, I'll have to decay too. It's probably fine. Ponder, sure. And my opponent will cast it. Another Ponder after a shuffle off the first Ponder. Fetch land to clear that Ponder. Brainstorm. Opponent presumably wants this dead right now. Bobble. Sure. So my opponent gets to see Birchlore is coming. And I will take 3 points of damage. Taking 3 is a lot better than taking 5. I don't think I can block in that spot. So if I play Birchlore here, I can then do the thing. Do I Glimpse first? No. How do I get the Abrupt Decay in on Containment Priest? Probably by waiting a turn cycle. Let's do this. So Glimpse is active. I will cast Birchlore Rangers. I will draw this other Glimpse of Nature. Now I think I'm going to go black mana, green mana, Abrupt Decay, Containment Priest. Say yes to that. Send in 4, 5, and just stay competitive with the Delver that's in play. And without thinking about it too hard, I assume that next turn is very good for me in one capacity or another. So that shuffles. Delver is still getting saucy. Opponent's at 12. That is a big creature that I am potentially going to just kill. Gaia's Cradle. 3 mana, 4 mana, 5 mana, 6 mana, 7 mana, which is not 8 mana. Do I just convert Glimpse into a different card here? Or do I just have lethal if I hoof? I guess there's Swords to Plowshares to think about. One has 2 cards left, it could be a counterspell. Glimpse. 3 mana. Grist, which does trigger Glimpse. I will draw that other Glimpse. This Elves specifically? No, it is creature spells. Very nice. A little weird with Grist and Lightning Bolt here. I think I'm going to... I think killing this Murktide is very important. So I'm going to go ahead and minus this one. Destroy Murktide Regent. Then I am going to cast another Glimpse. Cast this from the top of my deck, giving me a couple of draws. Now I can attack for 5, or I can just put Crater Hoof in, right? Yeah, let's go ahead and do this. Ooh. So I have to do this. Have to reveal. I think what I'm going to do is now get rid of this hoof. Oh, maybe I just cast it next turn. Let's get rid of this Wirewood symbiote. So now I will Endurance. I will clear out your graveyard in case that's relevant for a new Murktide Regent. Now that can resolve. I will take this Keen-Eyed Curator off the top of my library. Lol. So now I can cast this, pitch a card from my hand to do some more draws. I don't remember at this point if I have played a land or not. Goodbye, Endurance. Attack for 2. Attack for 2. Opponent's at 8. I'll call that good there. Yeah. Losing that cradle is gonna suck. Okay. Ori Steelcutter. Yes. There's no other cards left, though. My opponent can just equip this to one of their creatures. They're going for the Delver. Now, is this going face, or is this going Grist? It is going Grist. Sure. So my Green Sun is not operational in the face of Containment Priest. I can just attack for 5 into it, though. So let's go. Yeah. Trigger this. Send in for 5 immediately, which I don't think my opponent can block. My opponent takes that and goes to 3. Now, this costs 1 mana, and I will probably just both Seiju Kori Steelcutter. Let's go. Yeah, to untap this. And I think I can wait until my opponent puts a spell on this stack to do this, because they had no cards in hand. And we just grind our opponent out there. So now I know about multiple Containment Priests. Makes Eladamri a little worse. That makes Green Sun a little worse. I already boarded out Natural Order. I think this makes Assassin's Trophy a little better. Might not choke on the draw. It is a great spell if it resolves, but that is a pretty big if. This is absolutely unexciting. This Craterhoof is glued to my hand. I think this is a very good 6-card hand. Well, regular good 6-card hand, honestly. Alright. A Glimpse. We're going to go Forest. I'm going to offer up Wirewood to the gods of removal. If it lives, cool. If it doesn't, whatever. I don't think I am immediately firing off this Glimpse. I think a lot of times I end up doing an Abrupt Decay on something in the next turn cycle. That's all fine. There was a way to do that where the Ponder fetches, right? Bulk was already in play from turn 1. I think my opponent did that suboptimally. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go land drop pass here. And if my opponent doesn't play a threat, I will just Abrupt Decay. Thundering Falls. Lavinia. Do I care about this? I don't think I care about this, right? I, for the most part, don't care about that. They don't have natural orders anymore. I'm going to fetch. I'm going to get a Bayou. Now, that said, this does just attack me for 2. And I can't super defend against it right now. I might still just decay the threat anyway. This seems like an okay spot to attempt an Endurance. If this resolves, it's very good at slowing down Murktide Regent. And the longer I hold 1-drops in hand, the better a chance I have to do something cool with Glimpse. Mana that is not being spent on impacting the board is good for me. There's no DRC in play doing chip damage. There's no Kori Steelcutter accruing tokens. This is all perfectly fine. That's a little annoying since I do have another Abrupt Decay in hand. But I really don't mind this all that much. I am currently the beatdown. I don't think it is going to stay that way. That's true for right now. Let's turn Glimpse into a different card. Unexciting, but fine. If Delver does not flip and my opponent attacks with it, well, never mind. I would have traded for Heritage Druid there. So my opponent can now clear Endurance or Heritage Druid. I think Endurance is the scarier. Well, they can get both. Sending in for 3. There's not immediate white mana, though. That's the good news here. Send in for 3. Opponent is at 13. Upkeep Endurance? Probably Upkeep Endurance. I don't want my opponent to go land drop, be at 7 mana, or Murktide. Alright, nice. Now my opponent can hit this Endurance with swords and then attack in for 3. But I am very, very much winning this race right now. Heritage Druid. Spend it. Opponent is at 10. Then I will drop a Wirewood. I will drop a Heritage Druid. I will untap an Endurance, bouncing a Heritage Druid. I am going to replay a Heritage Druid. That all worked just fine. Now I can block this Delver. Ooh. And it has returned an Elf, so I can't bounce my Endurance. And I will eat 3 damage here. I'm at 16. Love to draw black mana for Abrupt Decay. Brainstorm is fine. I don't know that I get to hold off on Murktide for another turn. That's pretty cool, though. So I'll send this. Snap Force of Will. I'll send in for 2. My hope is that my opponent's top card is now not a Murktide Regent. Hey, guess what? It was. So I'm down to 13, and I am not dead on this attack, but I am dead on the following attack. Don't have multiple elves here to be able to make a cheeky attack in. And I do need to answer both of them, right? Because this is 10 damage. The Delver that's left over is 3. There's a Gaia's Cradle. So I have 3 mana, 6 mana. These aren't elves for this. After all of that, I'm going to fall just short. Yeah, I fall just short there. That is unfortunate. That was a good game of Magic. Weird opening hand here. I am on the play. I have nothing turn 1. I have turn 2 redraw, and probably turn 4 natural order. Opponent says, hello? They like the YouTube channel. This has 4 lands and 1 dead card that I can never realistically cast. I think I'm going to try to do something more explosive than this, and this will absolutely qualify. Fetch, Forest, probably. Yeah, I'm gonna keep this one. I think getting rid of Bayou. I think I just don't want to be wastelandable immediately. And I think I try to do Dryad Arbor first to cheat on mana. Opponent reveals Devourer of Destiny. Let's get a basic. And summon 1 tree. Then opponent gets their initial trigger. What are they sending to... Wow, very good cards. It looks like this is actual factual Eldrazi beatdown. Play a Chalice of the Void. Fuck yeah. Unironically, love to see that since I have an uncounterable spell here. So, that's uncounterable. Then I go Gaia's Cradle. This is going to give me 3 mana this turn. I think I'm going to just throw down on this. That is going to be pretty good in a second, I think. I imagine that I go kind of wild here, and I don't care if my opponent does something like Thought-Knots here, because I will just play a gajillion cards off the top of my library. Like, losing the Green Sun is notable, but I don't know that it's the end of the world. Yeah, Green Sun, goodbye. So, we are going to go 1 mana for Heritage Druid, which can't get countered by the Chalice, obviously. Then I think I go 4 mana. We're going to Once Upon a Time and just change the top card of my deck. I think I will take the Visionary redraw here. Yeah, so I can just play this off the top of my deck. And I will. Let's always yield to those Chalices. So I'm not really attacking anyway. So I think I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 mana. Elvish Visionary. Take that redraw. It's a Gaia's Cradle. I will then fetch that off the top of my library. Dryad Arbor, or I think I'll just take a Bayou on the off chance that I hit something like a Grist. So I will cast this for its regular side here. Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. Oh, shit, it's the Grist that I specifically played towards. Nice. Bam, bam. Wait, no, fuck. Wrong ability. This is much less efficient than it could have been. It will be fine. Where are you? Birch Lore. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's Grist. Untapping Nettle Sentinel. I will Grist minus sacrifice some creature. Let's do the redundant Allosaurus Shepherd. Destroy Thought-Knots here. Draw a card. I have now done the things. Attack for 1. Alright, if you wanted to know why we play Eladamri, that is the answer right there. That was honestly kind of insane. Plus Grist. Change the top card of my library yet again. Opponent asked if I wanted to keep going, and it's like, no, I have done the thing. That was very cool. So I did that all on turn 3, by the way. Threw a piece of disruption in the form of Thought-Knots here, and a second piece of disruption in the form of Chalice. That was impressive. So I will probably play something that can interact with a Chalice, and I can consider some other things. Glaring Fleshraker is a hell of a drug. Abrupt Decay hits that, but Abrupt Decay does not hit the things that are Thought-Knot Seer and larger sized. I want Natural Order for Atraxa. Unquestionably. That is important. I think I'm going to leave Elvish Visionary in the deck to be able to block and bounce Thought-Knot Seer sized things. I think I want to board up a couple more answers to a Chalice. Somewhere in that general ballpark feels fine. Okay, this is resilient to Chalice and has some ramp. I don't super have a plan for winning the game immediately, but I think not losing the game on turn 1 to Chalice of the Void is one of the most important things. Fleshraker? Or do you have red? You have red. Okay. I can take that out on turn 2. How many decays did I board in? None. Okay. Well, this is going to be a beating. I think we're doing Bayou here. And I think I'm going to get a Dryad Arbor. And whatever happens here happens. I can be nearly dead this turn to another line breaker. It is Fleshraker. Please don't have a 0-drop. Alright, there's no 0-drop. That's the good news. Bad news is that I am taking half of my life total here. I am at 8. Fairhoof is a bad draw. I'm at 7. I think I play Nettle Sentinel, so Glaring Fleshraker can't attack, and plan on Assassin's Trophying the Linebreaker. That's Cavern. Hate that. I will take out the Linebreaker in response, so that doesn't end up getting haste. Okay, so not another basic land there, but I am taking very respectable amounts of damage. So I'm at 5, and I think I should lose Quarian Ranger, because I think Dryad Arbor bounce nonsense is very good. See if my opponent sees that. It feels obvious to me. No, they took my top end. I'm not capable of casting that right now. Ooh, do I just get to do that? Dryad Arbor casts Quarian Ranger. Float mana with Bayou. Untap Dryad Arbor, replay Bayou. Quarian Ranger. Yeah. Untap you. Bouncing this forest. Replay this. 1, 2, 3, and 4. If I natural order and get Crater Hoof, they have +3/+3. I have 2 creatures attacking. That's 6 +5, 11, 12, 13. Not deterministically lethal. I will go natural order. I'm actually going to sacrifice the Nettle Sentinel. Let Atraxa into play. So I will go. Oh, those got really small. Land, instant, Reacher, and Sorcery as my 4 types. So, Glaring Fleshraker is still scary. I can still absolutely die here. If I get 1 Atraxa attack, I think I'm solid. Nice. Well, I mean, what did I come here to do if not this, right? Double Glimpse of Nature. Cast Allosaurus Shepherd. Let's just always yield to those. Third Glimpse. Nice. So let's untap this creature. Return a forest. Tap this. Third Glimpse. Gaia's Cradle. 4 mana. Wirewood Symbiote. We are going to draw some cards. Allosaurus Shepherd. Draw 3 more. Wirewood Symbiote. Untap Dryad Arbor. Bounce an Allosaurus Shepherd to hand. 1 mana. Redeploy an Allosaurus Shepherd. Already made a land drop here. Let's go ahead and deploy yet another Allosaurus Shepherd. Where's my things that make mana? Where's my things that make mana? Wirewood. Draw 3 more. There we go. So Wirewood. Target Dryad Arbor. Bounce a Quarian Ranger to hand so that I can reuse that. Heritage Druid. 22 cards remaining in library. 1, 2, 3 mana. Quarian Ranger. At this point, I am planning on hoofing and making Atraxa huge for lethal damage. So I just want to not draw the hoof, I guess. There's Nettle Sentinel. So let's go. Heritage Druid. 1, 2, 3. That's 4 total mana. Go ahead and do Green Sun for X equals 1. Untapping this. Getting. Oh, there's no hoof in there. Hoof in exile. Hoof is in exile from Woozy What's It. Okay. That's fine. I've got other cool things to do. Do I have a Birchlore Ranger yet? Let's make a Birchlore Ranger. So these guys are already untapped. Draw 3 cards. So I would like to go and make some green mana here immediately. Then we'll untap these so I can make some black mana. Where's Birch Lore? Birch Lore is here. Then I will go ahead and do a grist, and I think this is probably the point where I will call it good enough. So I will go ahead and grist, and minus, I will sacrifice some redundant creature. Let's take out the Glaring Fleshraker, and I think at this point I'm going to plan on just two turning my opponent, and I'll go ahead and pass the turn there. There's probably ways to optimize this turn ever so slightly better than what I did, but I imagine that this is fine. Battle's fine. Cavern's fine. Dismember on Thought-Knot's here. I get to draw a card. 6 cards remaining in library. 0 cards in my opponent's hand. Opponent sacrifices their spawn. Send it. Put opponent to -17. That is a win on turn 5. That is our first match win here, but every round so far has been 1 win, 2 losses. We are playing good Magic today. Okay, what happens if I play Dryad Arbor and Dryad Arbor survives to my turn? I go 1-drop creature, then have 2 mana. This can, in theory, natural order pretty quickly, but just literally any removal spell on Dryad Arbor means that my entire hand falls apart. And if I lose Dryad Arbor, I just play 0 magic. I don't think I am in for that. Whereas this I like a lot. This is very, very resilient. And honestly, I think I'm just not going to play Once Upon a Time. I think I'm good having multiple copies of Allosaurus Shepherd here. So let's fetch. I'm going to do a basic. And I think I'm going to have this be a Dryad Arbor that is counterable. Like, people don't tend to go for a counter on a small green sun. And then I think I just deploy multiple of these at the same time so that my opponent probably can't answer both. Is a snow-covered forest and a Utopia Sprawl. We honest to goodness Enchantress. If that's the case, I could just play something like this turn. Alright. Now I think I'm going to get a Bayou, play a Shepherd. Now this doesn't need to be a win condition anymore. This can become mana. I could make it a Birch Lore and do a second Allosaurus Shepherd right now. I will do that. Just throw that down. And then I assume that this ends up finding me more action. And if it doesn't, I attack for 3 to 4 points of damage. My opponent's not a Yorion build. See what they're doing. Alright, it is Trop, so they have blue. There is Sithis. And a Wild Growth, sure. Got a Hoof. I'm further away from that because of how I chose to play my previous turn in getting the Birch Lore Rangers. But Hoof plus this is a thing. That is a land on top of my library I can't do anything with, and I can't attack into Sithis, so that's just my turn. I probably just have Crater Hoof multiple different ways next turn. I just have 8 by tapping Dryad Arbor plus my lands that I'll have, assuming that most of these creatures are still in play. There's another Enchantress effect. There's a Destiny Spinner. I suspect that my opponent is dead if they don't play a white card that interacts with me. So there's a white land, or at least potentially a white land, with 2 Allosaurus Shepherds in play. I think I'm just good to do the thing. Oof. Everybody gets big. I imagine this is lethal even through 1 removal spell of some kind. Alright, there is a turn 4 kill. Yeah, opponent's hand is like super respectable, but just was not fast enough for what I was dishing out. So I want things that can attack enchantments. So that's Force of Vigor, that's Rex Sage, and I can consider some amount of this nonsense. Enchantress is not a commonly played deck anymore, so I don't know what sort of solitary confinement, elephant grass sort of bullshit I have to be respecting. I like Natural Order for fast kills. I like Eladamri for grinding through 1-for-1s. Atraxa doesn't seem that good. Hoof does. A little awkward playing Natural Order with 1 target. I think I'm still going to do that. I don't know if I'm going to get all of these. Get rid of Once Upon a Times. I think I'm going to get rid of the Grist, despite the fact that it can interact with some of my opponent's creatures. I'm just bringing in more efficient cards that are going to do that anyway. Going to play Assassin's Trophy. Occasionally I need to hit my opponent's lands. My stuff being countered matter? No? Do something like that? This is a fine, fast, natural order hand that maybe does some cool Heritage Druid stuff too. Need one more 1-mana elf to do that. Opponent fetches. Curse of Silence. Okay. Use a card, spells with the chosen name cost 2 more to cast, and that can cantrip later. They've chosen Green Sun, which is fine. I will play out a 2/2, and then hopefully next turn just go wild and have a turn 3 natural order. Forest. There's probably going to be some Enchantress effect, yes. Is there any timeline where I natural order this turn? I go Heritage Druid, 3 mana, cast Elvish Visionary, have 1 mana remaining, 1 untapped Nettle Sentinel. I don't think I go all the way this turn. I'm gonna go ahead and attack now, as to not miss 2 points of damage. Opponent's at 17. There's Druid, yes. There's Bayou. There's Druid, 3 mana. Visionary, yes. Draw a card. There's Quirion Ranger. Okay. I think that's fine. And hopefully I don't draw my Singleton Craterhoof. 1 in 50 chance of that happening, and then things get weird. Opponent has been waiting to pay costs on something quite a bit. I don't know if they are about to cast some X spell or what. That's an Enchantress effect. That's fine. On Thin Ice is fine. Don't think that is going to stop me from killing my opponent. Yeah, that seems like probably the best one on my board. Okay, so I have 2 mana here. Pride Arbor is what I'm going to sacrifice. So I will play out a Heritage Druid, and I will go 1, 2, 3, 4, natural order, sacrificing this. Get Hoof. Everyone is big. Let's untap this creature, bouncing a forest, and that is more than enough to do it. That is a full-on turn 3 kill through a piece of interaction, and in theory, a couple of blockers. GG's, we've evened out this league now. Alright, final round here. Opening hand is fine. I could use a little more mana, but I will survive if I don't hit it. We are going to lead on getting this Dryad Arbor on turn 1. Opponent says, good luck returning to Legacy after a hiatus. The format is largely fun, minus a couple of things right now. Flame of Honor, sure. I believe it is correct to play out Green Sun on 1 rather than Shepherd, but that is a punish. So opponent is probably playing with like Thunder Trap Trainer and Tamiyo in a Flame of Honor control deck. This Glimpse is pretty bad right now. I'm going to play out a Wirewood. I don't think I need to play this immediately. I would rather protect a relevant spell a little bit later on. So I used to play a little bit of Elves, and it used to be that the 1-for-1 removal wasn't that bad, but the Terminus style sweepers were a disaster. I'm going to try to continue to bait removal here. And I'm not going to attack. Maybe I do directly attack into a Snapcaster Mage. Fuck it. We ball. I think if I made that trade now, I would be fine with that. So it's a little awkward if I hit a land and I decide that I want to like Glimpse next turn when the Glimpse is counterable. But if my opponent has Lightning Bolt here, I would rather have a Wirewood Symbiote get Lightning Bolted immediately rather than Allosaurus Shepherd. I think this is probably the turn cycle where I don't get to meaningfully impact my opponent in combat anymore. I think this is just going to be Flame of Honor, kill one of these, draw 2 cards, and Tamiyo all of a sudden is a Planeswalker. That's what this deck wants to do as consistently as possible. And there it is. So, I have successfully not gotten Allosaurus Shepherd eaten, but I sure don't have mana. I'm going to play this out now in hopes of drawing something like Gaia's Cradle next turn and going nuts. Attack on principle. 4-0. Get him. I might not play Magic this game. Tamiyo might just ultimate 2 turns from now. And that's that. Folding turn. Another Tamiyo. This one can serve as a blocker for anything that is big enough to actually get through. There is a Windswept Heath. I'll fetch. I think I'm just going to get another basic. I think this is just Elvish Visionary. And I think I am hoping for a combo turn next turn. Yikes. Now I don't get my card draw. Opponent also has a window to Lightning Bolt Allosaurus Shepherd directly. My next turn needs to be a combo turn, or I think I just lose to Tamiyo Ultimate. Tamiyo's at 8, Tamiyo minuses for 7, so... Alright, we are full on Jeskai. Confirmed. Not just blue-red. That's different art, Thunder Trap Trainer, I think. Force of Negation is fine. That doesn't do anything as long as this card sticks around. An opponent is just not even going to attack. It's all about just protecting this for 1 turn. Alright, here we go. I need just pile of bricks from my opponent. Doesn't seem like it's pile of bricks. Yeah. So my uncounterable ability is now not there anymore. This can eat a Force of Negation. It did just resolve. Alright, next card of library, please be Gaia's Cradle? It was not. So now I have no mana, these don't do anything. Tamiyo Plus means I can't attack in. I am effectively dead to my opponent drawing half of their library. I'm not going to play it out from here. Okay, I probably want some number of Abrupt Decay type cards to prevent that exact thing from happening. I think I will do the 3 Abrupt Decays and a Choke here. My Shepherds are so strained here. Like, they are in theory very good, but just pile of dress downs and efficient removal puts them in a weird spot. I think I want this auto eject button to just hastily end the game. I'm gonna go down on these. That has kind of been my go-to thing to trim. And I'll just trim a 1 mana elf of some kind. It's awkward. I think I'm in the same position as last time where it is correct 2 green sun on turn 1 and it's just awkward. This time I'm going to get a Bayou though. There's my other Dryad Arbor. Basic Plains. Dryad Arbor goes bye-bye. New green sun. That one is less good. At least this turn anyway. So I'm going to make a friend and play a Dryad Arbor. My hand's a little clunky. I am hoping that my opponent does not have 2 removal spells that are immediately usable. That's the scenario where I am, like, kind of actively scared. Do I want to glimpse for 1 redraw? No, I think I'm going to try to do better. So instead, I'm going to cast this for X equals 1 and try to get another Allosaurus Shepherd into play. And just kind of punt this another turn down the road to try to get more value out of it. I am getting a response, though. This might just be a brainstorm. Negative. I will put a Shepherd into play. Maybe it just eats a Lightning Bolt style card. Why did that fetch happen? There was no cantrip, right? I don't understand what my opponent was playing around there. Well, this is the dream. Guess it's not quite the dream, right? Need a hit for this to be the dream. There is a dress down. This is what I was talking about with the awkwardness of the Shepherd. Okay, I am in play. So, this is a cast. I always get this. Nice. Yavimaya. Heritage Druid. Let's always yield to this. This is a moment for interaction. Opponent does not have it. I do lose this ability, but next turn I have a lot of mana to do cool crimes. And I get to still send in for 1. 18. Dress down gets sacrificed. There's a Brainstorm. There could be a Lorien Reveal cycle here to shuffle. Negative. Oh, please don't fucking Terminus me. I don't have it in my heart. Okay, cool. Just tap out for some stuff. Just tap out for some stuff. It'll be fine. I promise. Something's happening. Oh, they're going for 2 cards. They are not removing any of my creatures here, which probably bodes well for me. So, if I tap these, I have 3 mana, 4 mana, 5 mana. So I think that means 1, 2, 3. I don't need to tap that yet. Second, Allosaurus Shepherd. Untap this. Third, Allosaurus Shepherd. Very covered versus counter. Oh, nope. You. 1, 2, 3. Now that is up to 4 mana. 5, 6, 7. I think I just keep casting spells. So untap this. Grist. Yeah, I will cast that. Now I'm going to Grist, change the top card of my library. A Windswept Heath. That's fine. I am now beyond wide of any single target removal spell. Maybe I just end the game with Natural Order that turn. Alright, opponent passes. There's a land. I will mill past that. There is a Natural Order. I will go ahead and shuffle that. Get a Bayou. There is a Green Sun. 6 mana is just lethal. 3 mana, leave 3 creatures back. Like 1, 2, 3. Yeah, fuck it. Yeah. 3 mana, 4 mana. There's Natural Order. Just sacrificing an insect token, untapping this. I'll force some action now. Flame of Honor, they're just drawing cards. That's fine. Yes, I will untap this. Let's end this. There's the attempt on the hoof. Oh, are you just dead? Yeah, they're just dead. Negative 54. Okay, maybe they just fully just kind of had nothing that game, and I could have just gone for the kill the previous turn. I think I'm okay with how I have boarded. There is some world where I could attempt to force of Vigor a dress down that is played out, because that card is seeming very impactful. I don't think the timing ends up working out well for that, though. Yes. So again, I think I want to ramp. Despite the fact that this is able to be counterspelled, I think my turns just look a lot better if I can play multiple of these cards easily on my next turn. So my opponent gets a clue here. This will be card draw number 2. Basic Plains, and I lose Dryad Arbor. That is fine. Fetch. Another Bayou. Stuff is uncounterable. Let's protect. Allosaurus Shepherd. I am attempting to work towards uncounterable Natural Order. I think my long-term prospects on this game are not ideal. If my opponent gets to the point where they can start cracking these clue tokens, they can 1-for-1 me for days. I think I would like them to stumble, and Natural Order does its thing. Has to be Natural Order for Atraxa, though, since the hoof is in hand. But is still going to kind of force a mid-game. Maybe I draw a Cradle, and I pivot into casting hoof. And drop 3. Blue token 2. Honestly, I'd like to just find an Abrupt Decay and answer this. That would be great. Ooh, nice. So, I'm going to return a creature I control to my hand. So I have blanked that removal spell. My opponent needed to go for the Wirewood, but unfortunately they still get to do the Tameo thing. And it's very good because my army of 1/1 creatures can't super attack into that. So I will fetch. I think I am green sunning for a 2/2 body here. I'm going to take a look. I don't know, maybe I just green sun for another Allosaurus Shepherd. I could actually see that being correct. And I just try to make this as uncounterable as possible and use it to dig for Abrupt Decay to answer Tameo. And Tameo pluses, so I don't get a benefit out of attacking. Land drop 4. This is the point of the game where any mana that my opponent can't use towards impacting my board can start going into these clue tokens. And Tameo, at the end of the day, can still opt to minus and get back swords or flame. Tameo plus, something big is happening. 3 mana is usually flame. Opponent is doing the same thing as before. I just repeat this. I don't understand. So I bounce that. Are they trying to get both of them out of play simultaneously so that I can't Natural Order? That might be the angle. Yes, that is the angle. So shut off this ability, take both out of play. Now I can't have 4 mana to do both of my things. Okay, I understand what they are going for. Oh, fuck. Do it? So I suspect that my opponent has a counterspell. Do I use the Glimpse as bait, or do I just cast Allosaurus Shepherd, then Glimpse, then Quarian Ranger as a redraw? I think I guarantee it. So then Glimpse, Quarian Ranger. I get 1 redraw here. Ooh, birch lore. I'm going to return a forest to untap a creature. I will make my land drop. I will cast Birch Lore Rangers. It is another Birch Lore. Alright, now we're doing things. So green mana, 1 and 2 new Birch Lores. Ooh, there's Abrupt Decay. Nice. So I'm going to go green mana. I will return a Quirion Ranger to hand and untap one of these. And I will play Quirion Ranger. Cradle. Nice. I could go 1 mana, untap a creature, not have something to do with the other mana. I think I'm just good there. That was a pretty solid string of stuff. Now I'm not dead to Tamiyo anymore. My opponent has 4 cards plus 2 clues. I don't want to see a sweeper, but I'm pretty good against a lot of other stuff. Opponent has moved to their second main phase. I have not activated Tamiyo yet. That is a Thundertrap Trainer. That is a Force of Negation, which means there is some real degree of threat that my stuff gets countered. I also just have play Gaia's Cradle, attack for a billion D as an option. Assuming my Allosaurus Shepherd makes it to my own turn, which I'm not really sure that it should, but Wirewood Symbiote is a thing. Okay, so my opponent is picking up a Swords. They are going for the Wirewood, which I accept. So this is now on the table as something that can be removed. And it does get removed. I know my opponent has Force of Negation. So I can Abrupt Decay, Thundertrap Trainer, and attack and kill Tamiyo. Then I just work towards hardcasting this. I have some other lines where I just like try to cast this, I think, by playing Nettle Sentinel and then doing a couple untappy things. But this seems fine. Goodbye. Free at Tamiyo. Problem solved. Play a Nettle Sentinel out. And I think I'll call that good. Oh, disgusting. Yes. Whiteboard cards confirmed good. Now I'm in a bad position. I have to win this game, right? The game 3. I just got Tamiyo'd in game 1. Fairy is fine. That means it's hard for me to just start pressuring my opponent with some single small threat. I can put my opponent to the Force of Negation test. Just fetch a Dryad Arbor and say you have to have a blue card in hand right now, or I get Atraxa. I don't think that is a good test to do. I'll try to wiggle a little harder. If I was going to do that test, I should have done it earlier. I think I'm going to try to play around this. I don't think I'm going to fetch immediately. Okay. Glimpse is cool. Until my opponent presents a clock or a Tamiyo, that is air quotes, a clock, I don't really need to worry too much. The fairy does not have an ultimate that just like wins the game or whatever. Like it's at 7. That's not the end of the world. I will just keep passing the turn here. That is the end step Lorien revealed that my opponent can do because of a Teferi Plus. There's land drop, and I imagine that we will just keep seeing Teferi Plussing. It's Thundertrap Trainer, but opponent is not doing it with Offspring. We've got counterspells. Fairy Pluses. Opponent is discarding cards. They discard a Ponder. I don't really want another Natural Order right now. The opponent is only doing that in the draw 2 mode. I'm not sure how good that actually is. My opponent is at 9 cards in hand and actively discarded a Ponder, which is a reasonable card. I don't know that that's better than holding it, but I don't know what their hand looks like. Oh, I hate that. That I very much don't like. Because this means that there is now a real clock. So now I have to start playing Magic. So I am not only at 15, but the Monarch sub-game has begun. The Fairy pluses. My opponent gets an extra card. They're going to discard, and I think that just occurs. So, I think I start going through counter spells. I imagine this cannot resolve. Oh shit, it resolved. Okay. This was unexpected. Oops, all natural orders though. Okay. Batch, Forest, cast Green Sun. Okay, there's a dress down. That is gonna put a damper on my plans here. I was going to do some bounce nonsense and then get some more redraws. My opponent has stopped that. But now am I into Wirewood or just Allosaurus Shepherd to try to make these uncounterable. I'm going to go Shepherd. This ability is off. So if I just go for 2 mana, 4 mana natural order, that just eats one of these. I'd rather try to just do it next turn. I think the Teferi ruins my plans there, though. I think just Teferi bounce Allosaurus Shepherd out of play is reasonable. Also, my opponent just has 7 cards and actively has discarded cards, so... Oh, it's Teferi bounce on Heritage Druid. That probably means a removal spell is coming for Allosaurus Shepherd. Taking half of my life here in damage. Or? Oh, it's a Flame of Honor. Sure. I am at 7. I need a new Allosaurus Shepherd. Allosaurus Shepherd, then Heritage Druid, then I have 4 mana for Natural Order, but it can't be the haste one. It just gets bounced out of play. This doesn't feel great. Opponent is discarding 3 cards here. That's just more mana. I'm dead on board, so I am going to take legal Magic the Gathering game actions. I will cast a Natural Order, sacrificing this Heritage Druid, it will get countered, and I will die. So Force of Negation is usable on this card. I would have Force of Negation, you don't lose life then. And Force of Will is more flexible, assuming there's more blue cards in hand. It doesn't matter, I am beyond dead. But my opponent said they're new, and they are probably going to watch this video, so food for thought. There is also like hard casting the Force of Negation, so it's not like there's no reason to do that way, but if there's a follow-up card that matters, maybe it matters. GG's. Alright, so how did we feel about the, like, traditional Boomer Elves today? It wasn't bad, like, I know we only put up a 2-3 record, but we played some pretty reasonable Magic. The Supreme Verdicts and the Engineered Explosives were very good against us, but those sorts of cards aren't overly typical of current Legacy. Eladamri did some disgusting things a couple of times where we just chained card after card after card and used like fetches and green suns and Once Upon a Times to manipulate the top of my library. That card was much, much better than I was expecting. And the bottom ability came up but got a little weird because of Containment Priest being in play specifically. We dodged Bowmasters all league, which was kind of the point, right? Bowmasters is still very popular, but it's not the most popular creature in the format anymore. I believe that honor now goes to Tamiyo. Let's double check that. Yeah, so Tamiyo is now the most played creature in the format, followed by Fairy Macabre, which is a statement. And Bowmasters is down to the 6th most played creature in the format at 28%, and it's not just like maxed out at mandatory 4 copies in these blue decks anymore. So I think I'm gonna give this one a thumbs up. This was not embarrassing to play. The deck has some game to wiggle. It is doing something powerful, it is doing something fast. It's not really hedged against the format though, right? Like this format exists in a way where you really need to be main decking Graveyard Hate in some capacity. We're not doing that. We don't have, you know, a main deck Keen-Eyed Curator or a main deck Endurance as a silver bullet as an eject button. I dislike that about the deck, but I would play more of this. This was enjoyable, this was fun. This very much has the vibes of an old deck that a lot of people enjoyed. We don't have time in Legacy to just grind out with Elvish Visionary bounces anymore like we used to. And I think this has the potential to go faster as a combo option. If you're in a competitive mindset, I don't know that what you are doing here is better than, say, the One Ring Mystic Forge deck that is kind of existing in the same space, honestly. Like the space of play some synergistic things that let you get to big mana and then do something dumb. You know, the One Ring, I think, is more objectively powerful than Eladamri. But if you just like elves, maybe give them a shot at your local game store again. And with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and call it a day. I hope you all enjoyed. See ya!